Good evening, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, the unfortunate accident, shall we say, that Ricky has had, probably once it gets around what has happened, it will stir up a load of other stuff about how safe us expats are, how safe us foreigners are. Now, in the Philippines, alright, so it brings that old question, is it safe to live in the Philippines? Well, for one thing, the accident that happened to Ricky was a domestic quarrel. That's how you would have to view it. I don't think that this lady that did the damage with the bolo, she didn't just arrive at his front door, knock on the door, and when he opened it, start in on him with the bolo. I don't think that it happened like that. I think I'm safe in saying that that's not what happened. We spoke to a lot of, actually at the hospital, we spoke to a lot of the bystanders that saw him brought in by some military guys who for some reason were there in time to bring him in. So we don't have all of the information on that, but that's not really what the purpose of the video is. The purpose of the video is to look at the idea of whether it's safe to be here. Now, do you want to live in a place where there are plenty of guns for the nutcases, or whether it's a bolo? It doesn't seem like a big choice, does it? The fact is that depending on the kind of lifestyle that you live, and I think it's very much on that, then you will live a life of relative peace and safety. Now, for me personally, I've made this point many times in my videos, is that the Filipino, a little bit like perhaps traditionally we've been told the American Indians and let me see, the Australian Aborigines, they don't seem to be able to handle the booze. So let's not dress it up, it's the booze, isn't it? Alcohol. And they don't seem to be able to handle that, and they turn into, they can turn into the nasty drunk. And we all know that when anybody ever gets, when people get drunk, it usually turns them. It's like one coin, two sides of the coin. Is it going to be heads or tails? It can't be. It can't stand on its edge. You either end up being known as a lovable drunk that falls asleep eventually, or someone that turns nasty. And being an ex-musician, I've known a great number of both. So for me personally, I've seen a lot of reasons to not get into the booze. So one thing I will never become addicted to, you can hit me up about the chocolate, but even in the chocolate, I'm a lovable chocolate addict, okay? I don't get nasty when I'm eating chocolate. With the booze, I've worked for 25-30 years as a professional musician, and of course I've worked in social atmospheres, in social places where people go to drink, and while I was working as a musician, they went there to drink and smoke and have a good time. Not my idea of a good time, because I've watched from the stage as a musician in the band at a function. I've watched as what seemed like pretty normal, intelligent, well-behaved people turn into absolute idiots. And I also saw lots of friends and colleagues destroyed by the booze. And I've mentioned this before, that because in the particular band, some of the bands that I was in, the wives that would come in on occasion and be at a gig, when the husband was away getting another drink, they would actually confide. One lady confided with me, and she said, I can tell when he's had a lot to drink. When I'm in bed, upstairs in bed, and he comes in the front door, and I can tell the way he comes in the front door whether he's had a lot to drink. That's how transparent it is. Now, how do I protect myself from, and as a way of any expat that's coming over here that wants nothing to do with this kind of unpredictable behavior? I just don't go to places where there's going to be a lot of booze. Now, this is inconvenient in many ways, because a lot of the time I would like to go to a party, and I don't need to have a drink in order to have a great time. So maybe I'll have one beer, and even at that, with a whole, I can't usually drink a whole beer. Yes, I know. I even have close pals that I've been pals with for years and years. One friend said to me, Terence, you're not in the A-team. You don't know how to have fun. Okay, I'll accept that I certainly don't know how to have the kind of fun that he has, but I'm doing okay on the fun thing. See, but as soon as you go into a place where there's going to be booze, people are going to become drunk. Now, there's degrees of drunk, I know. I think Red Skelton said, you're not really drunk if you can lie on the floor without holding on. So there's drunk and there's drunk, okay? I've seen guys who got very drunk who could still play a musical instrument passably well. Not as good as they thought they were playing, but they could get by. And as long as they didn't go completely insane, the band leader would just put it down to everybody having fun and being seen from the dance floor, from the audience, to be having fun, and it would work. But here in the Philippines, a Filipino advised me, when you go to a party, especially one where there's women, which can be any kind of social do, it's best to leave after a few beers, so you can go and you can make an appearance and you can have some fun and all of that. As a foreigner, who of course we're also fabulously rich, we're expected to take a crate of booze with us, whether we drink or not. That's what would be expected of us. So we would do that, and then we would, with any sense, we would look very carefully at how things were going. The louder that it gets, the more unpredictable. And then what my Filipino friend warned me was that what then would start to happen is that the Filipino men, with the glitch already happening in the brain, would start looking at you, looking at women. Even if you had your wife with you, they would start looking at your wife and saying, why has he got one of our women? And that little thing there can start to come and have a play in what is happening, all to your detriment, unfortunately. So the way to do it, I guess, is don't go into commercial places where you're going to drink and be part of an audience which is not just going to interact with the bottle, but as a result of the bottle they're going to be seeing you through the bottom of a glass, and you don't look so good through the bottom of a glass. So best get the hell out of there and think yourself lucky if you did it without the scratch. I did speak very recently to an expat who had gone to a new place called, let me see, the Fault Line, and apparently the Fault Line, it gets really busy in the evening. I pass it all the time during the day and nothing's happening, but during the night apparently it's a buzzing place. If that's the kind of thing that you like, then you'll find it at the Fault Line, and it's done very nicely and it has a live band. Now when my expat friend was telling me he had gone along with another expat and a girlfriend, and somewhere in the mix there, maybe with other people or not, there was a scuffle, shall we call it. We'll be benign tonight in our descriptions. There was a scuffle, and my friend said he could have done without it. So it just reaffirmed to me, best stay away if you're coming to the Philippines. Stay away from the places where people can change their behavior through the bottom of a glass. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Stay safe. It's not going to be a situation that will be regarded, I think, as one of national security as far as us expats, as us foreigners. Us foreigners can use our intelligence, we can use our wisdom gained both from the bottom of a glass, from the inside of the glass, and one looking at the bottom of the glass when it's being held up to somebody else's mouth. You stay safe. Bye for now.